welcome back to my channel for another Sims 4 speed build. Today I have a really cute coastal family home for you guys that I first started building here in Brindleton Bay, but later moved to the island in Windenburg, which I'm sure nobody's surprised because if you've been watching my videos, I've been cursed for about a month with having to move almost every house that I've built. So yes, this one is going to move as well. Basically, I was looking for a lot that would be right on a coastline, near the beach, because obviously it's a coastal house. And so I started here on this small 20 by 20 lot in Brindleton Bay, and it was just not working with the terrain manipulation because this particular house has a walkout basement. And so in order to make the walkout basement, I have to raise the ground in the front of the house up a whole story. And as you can see here, that was just not working. I ended up with this sort of cliff in front of the house that was like a sheer straight drop off. And no matter how I tried to smooth it and add stairs and layers and everything, it was just too small of a lot. So in a few minutes, you're gonna see this house move to Windenburg. But anyway, this is a beautiful house in real life that I found pictures of on a Google image search that is on the Oregon coast. I have never been to Oregon, but I have been to Washington State and the Seattle area, and so I really love the architecture of the coastline homes all up and down the Pacific Northwest. And so I was just Googling a bunch of different terms like Oregon coast and Washington coast and coastal Pacific Northwest coastal homes, and I don't know, I was trying a bunch of different Google searches until I ended up finding this house, which if you would like to see a picture of it, you can head over to my Instagram. My account over there is also ErikaBuilds, and you can see a picture of the real house. But the picture was just so beautiful, and it really was exactly what I wanted to build. I just wasn't really quite sure how I was going to do it. I'm not really that great with terrain. I've been slowly improving a little bit, but I still have a really long way to go. I see things in the gallery that just blow my mind. I don't know how people do it. Just this most gorgeous, terrain where there's nothing is uneven. It's just so smooth and beautiful. So I've got to keep practicing on that. But I actually do think the way this one eventually turned out was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So maybe I'm improving slightly. I don't know. You'll be able to be the judge of that when you see this house move. So anyway, as I was saying at the beginning, this does have a walkout basement. So I'm sort of building the second level first, and then the third level, and then kind of working on the basement last. Luckily, the reference photo did have a picture of the house at sort of like a side angle, which allowed me to see exactly what the lower level looked like, which was super helpful. The only bad thing was I couldn't see the back of the house, so I did have to kind of guess as to what I thought that was going to look like. But I kind of imagined, if it's a house on the coast, obviously it's going to have a lot of windows and a lot of outdoor space to enjoy, the beautiful view of the ocean. And so that was sort of my inspiration as I was, creating this back facade. I did know that it had these columns in the back because I could sort of spy one just in the corner of the photo, so that was helpful. But for the most part, it's just sort of my creation in the back of what I thought seemed fairly logical. This particular style of home is sort of similar to a New England coastal home, which is why I started with Brindleton Bay, because normally if I'm going to build anything with that sort of New England-y vibe, I tend to always build it here. And I use a lot of cats and dogs items in the build because obviously very coastal. So I'm not really sure if homes in the Pacific Northwest coast would have the same kind of coastal interior as the Northeast, because I've never actually been inside of a home in the Pacific Northwest as far as like a coastal home. Most of the houses I've been in have been very, very rustic with lots of wood and exposed beams and things like that. But from the looks of this picture, of this real house, it didn't appear to have any of that rustic feel. So I guess that's why I went with a little bit more of the, New England vibe, especially with the shingles. The entire exterior of this house in the picture was covered with wooden shingles, and so I went into cats and dogs and chose these. They're sort of a gray, light brown gray. They're not really what was in the real home. The real house, it looked more like a natural wood shingle, and this was kind of more of a gray, but I think it was as close as it was gonna get with the stuff that, I had to choose from. And as you know, exterior wallpapers, like I was saying in my last video, we are pretty limited in those, and so sometimes, you have to improvise to find something that's pretty close to whatever it is that you're looking for. But the house actually ended up being pretty good size. You can see here, I'm working on the interior floor plan now, and I ended up with 4 bedrooms. There's a master bedroom on the lower level, and then there are 3 kids' bedrooms on the 3rd level, which is actually sort of like the 2nd level. The 3rd level of the home, but the 2nd level from the ground. But there are 3 of those. I made 2 for kids and 1 for a toddler. And then there are 4 bathrooms. There's 1 on the lower level, 1 on the main level that's just right off the living room, and then there are 2 more bathrooms upstairs where the kids' bedrooms are. So they're pretty spread out around the house. Now, as you can see, I'm working here in the main living area now, and it's a very open concept. So as you first enter the home, there's like a little sitting area there with a fireplace that's open to the dining room. It's not really what I would call a living room. That's why I was saying it's more of just a sitting area. I imagine this is just, if somebody comes over, a visitor or something, they would just maybe sit here to chat or something. It's not really the main, like family living room. I ended up putting that downstairs, which we'll get to that in a minute. So on the main level, you've got this open concept living room, dining room, and then the kitchen is just right off of the dining room. And I wanted to keep this very light and bright and coastal feeling. That's why I decided to go with a lot of blues and grays and whites. I changed a lot of this actually after I moved the house to Windenburg. I ended up getting rid of almost all the cats and dogs items, like that wallpaper and some of the other, and the flooring, just because it had a little, I hate to say grandma, but that cats and dogs stuff is a little bit traditional, and it does give me a little bit of like a grandma vibe. So I was thinking, this is more of like a fun young family home, not really for like elder Sims. And so I felt like this cats and dogs stuff was kind of giving it too much of a stuffy sort of older vibe. I don't know. I don't know what word to describe it. So I changed some of it later because I did want this to be for a family, with young kids, and I wanted it to be comfortable and a little bit more hip maybe than some of the cats and dogs stuff. So I think I don't even really know what you would call it. I mean, it's not modern, it's not traditional. I guess coastal family is what you would call it. It still has that vibe of cats and dogs a little bit, but just toned down so that it's not quite so traditional. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. But you'll see that change a little bit later. So here, I have moved. Okay, so this was kind of interesting. Before I moved the house to Windenburg, I actually moved it to a larger lot in Brindleton Bay. Not because I was going to leave the house here, but just because I wanted a larger workspace. So I just felt like I needed to sort of take things apart and lay pieces down and move roofs and expand walls, and I just needed like a work surface. So I just temporarily moved the house over here to this big 40 by 40 lot so that I could shape it and design it freely without constraints of, the property line. And I actually highly recommend this, especially if you're a beginner like me and you're feeling unsure about terrain or even just working with a house that's out of your comfort zone. And that's very much the way I feel, not only about terrain, but also about walkout basements, because this is only, I think, the third one I've ever done. So this large lot gave me the space that I needed to try things out and test different ideas. So then once I finally got it all put together like a puzzle and had to change some roofs, and I ended up moving that lower level garage up to the second level, and I don't know, it was just a mess. Then I had something that was much more easy to transfer to the other lot where I ended up putting it. I could have left it on this big one, but there would have been a lot of dead space around the lot. There wasn't enough home to really fit this much area. Even if I would have gone all out with like a pool and, playground and stuff for the kids, it still would have been too big of a lot. So that's why I ended up moving it to the 30 by 20. I knew it would just give me enough extra space for what I wanted to do without being too big where I wouldn't be able to fill up the lot properly. So moving the garage up to the second floor made the house quite a bit wider. And I wasn't really sure at first if I was going to keep that as a garage or if I was going to turn it into something else. And if you've been downloading my houses, you probably noticed that it's about a 50-50 mix of what I do with garages. Either I make an actual garage and I put all the types of items that you would expect to find in a garage. Like a lot of times I put the woodworking table and trash cans and crates and boxes and tools and gardening equipment, and actually make a garage. Or sometimes I just kind of pretend it's a garage on the outside, and then inside it's actually just part of the regular house. So it could be anything. Sometimes it's a bathroom, sometimes it's a laundry room, sometimes it might be a home gym. Oh, here we go. We've moved now to Windenburg. Isn't this lot perfect? I wish I would have just started building the house here originally, but it really is the absolute perfect lot for this house. I'm so obsessed with this lot. I think it's my favorite one. This one and the one right next to it on the island are my favorite. When I'm in my downtime of not building and I'm just playing The Sims, I'm always on the island, and I have like 5 different save files of homes, like different homes that I've built specifically just for the island. So I have to say it's probably my favorite place. I just love the beach and the ocean and the boats and the sound of the waves crashing. And maybe it's because I live in the Midwest and I'm so far away from the ocean that I just love it so much. That's why I'm always hoping that we will get some sort of tropical expansion pack, beach expansion pack. I would love to see that. That would, without doubt, be my number one request as far as what our next expansion would be. Even though I do understand the appeal for college, like it would be cool to have dorms and send your Sims to class or whatever. But in a way, I don't know. I feel like maybe I wouldn't get as excited about that in playing. Maybe it would be fun for a while, but then it would become maybe a little bit monotonous of just going to class. I don't know. I just have to see how it would turn out, if it would be something that I would really like that much. I think for me, just the idea of like a vacation on the beach just seems like a much more fun thing to play, just personally. So that's why I'm always hoping that we'll end up getting some sort of tropical pack. But anyway, back to the build. I'm still moving these cabinets around and trying different layouts with this kitchen. It was really hard to work with because of all the windows. Having that entire wall of windows on the left basically meant no cabinets, no appliances, nothing can go in that space, which gave me one wall and then one little piece of another wall to work with for all the cabinets and all the appliances and everything that I needed to fit into this kitchen. So it was kind of tricky, and I actually ended up getting rid of that jungle adventure tile because I started thinking maybe it was a little too busy and colorful for this type of coastal home. So I switch it later over to parenthood tile. I don't know. I'm not sure really even still which one I like better, but I did end up changing it. As usual, I change my mind 1,000 times. This is why it takes me so long to make a video, because I'm constantly changing these houses over and over and over again and second guessing myself. But it ended up being a pretty decent sized kitchen for not having that much space to work with. And then over here in this little office corner, I used all of the new stuff that we got in the free update. So I've got the new computer desk, the new bookshelves, the new laptop, the new pencil holder, the new leaning artwork. Basically everything we got in that patch update I put into this house. And so that turned out like a really cute little office corner. In fact, I think this house would be perfect for that new freelance career. You've got just this really nice workspace, and it's nice and open and airy, and you can see, you're not stuck in a little office. You've got all these windows and views of the ocean. I imagine, if it's a nice day, you can just crank all those windows open and listen to the waves as you're doing your freelancing. I mean, what could be better than that? That's the kind of job I need. But anyway, this bathroom is the only bathroom on the first floor, so it kind of serves as a guest bath. And I also ended up putting the toddler's potty seat in this bathroom too, because it was a large one, so I had plenty of space. So I guess that would probably be the main, just everyday family bathroom. And of course, by the front door, I've got the coat shelf and umbrellas. And then back into the kitchen now, I'm just working on adding a few pet items. I did not add a litter box to this house. I guess I was envisioning dogs. I don't know why, when I think of the beach, I always think of dogs, because if you have ever had a dog or know anyone who has a dog, they love the ocean. At least every dog I think I've ever met has loved the ocean. So I imagine this family had some dogs that were just loving running up and down the beach. And coming in and out, of the house. It's so nice how it's all open right to the sand. So this room you're seeing now, the laundry room, is actually the garage. As I was saying earlier, typically when I have a garage, if I don't make it an actual garage, it will usually be some sort of laundry room or bathroom or something. And I feel like this house really needed a laundry room because Laundry Day pack goes so nicely with coastal homes, and it has all these pretty blues and grays and white colors, so I really wanted to use that. And it goes nice with the cats and dogs items as well. Okay, so now I'm back in the kitchen. I'm just adding some clutter items. I didn't really clutter it up too much, just a few odds and ends, and I did put a coffee maker in there. And I wanted to leave plenty of counter space for cooking, so I didn't really get too crazy with the kitchen, extras. I think I ended up changing that sink to stainless instead of blue, even though the blue matched this Jungle Adventure tile really nicely, but then when I changed it to Parenthood, it didn't match anymore, so that's why I had to take that out. And a trash can, and I'm using that clutter shelf again just to place some items in some, non-placeable areas. This oven I ended up putting against the wall actually turned out cuter than I thought. Normally I don't put the oven off to itself, on the side like that, but actually I think that turned out kind of cute. And then right off the kitchen is some outdoor dining and grill area. And also I've put like a little seating area for just lounging and enjoying the ocean view. This is like where I wish I was right now. I wish I was sitting on that deck watching the ocean. Now you'll see me adding some of these things from the new patch update. And I purposely put this desk right in front of the window so your sim can have a beautiful view while they're working at their desk. Wouldn't it be nice if we all had that kind of view when we're working? And these bookcases I am obsessed with. I think I used like 4 or 5 of these bookcases in this house because it's something new, so I'm really excited. So I just want to put it everywhere. But it really is a perfect bookcase. We needed that so badly. And the style, I feel like, is so versatile. I mean, it kind of looks modern, but then the way the wood is put together, it sort of has like a craftsman style to it. So I really feel like you could use that bookshelf in pretty much any kind of house. And it comes in a lot of really cute swatches, like different colors of browns and whites and grays, and super versatile. So I kind of imagine that this sim was a freelance graphic artist. So that's why I used a lot of those graphic art paintings. I guess I shouldn't say paintings. They're like digital drawings around the office area. And just adding some flowers and various little knickknacks to clutter that up. And you're going to see, oh yeah, and then I had this little side deck right off the kitchen, which I thought was really cute. I kind of call this just your little place for morning coffee, it's just right off the kitchen, right there's the coffee pot, so you can just take your hot cup of coffee and walk out there and sit and watch the waves. And now I'm going down to the lower level, which is where I decided to put the master bedroom. Even though I typically don't put bedrooms in the basement, I think it works out okay since there's so many windows down here. And this is also the location of the main family room and TV area as well. Oh, I remember now what happened. I had removed that clutter shelf from my mods folder before doing the patch update. And so when I first started building this house, I didn't have that shelf. So I had to go back and re-add it and then restart and go back through and kind of touch up all the areas that I had skipped when I didn't have my little special shelf, which is funny now because I can't even build anymore without that shelf. I'm completely dependent on it to place clutter. I don't know how did anybody do anything before that shelf was invented. Whoever made that, you are amazing and I love you. And I've been putting a link to download it in all my video descriptions. So if you're looking for an amazing item to help you place clutter in your homes, you need that shelf. It's like a necessity. Okay, so I'm down here in the basement working on this family room, and I really wanted it to be just super fun and cute and bright and sort of coastal, but yet very family friendly and kid friendly. I imagined the 3 kids to be all quite young. Well, one is a toddler, and then the other 2 kids, I imagined them to be quite young as well. And so I wanted to make sure that the family room was very lived in and very fun and comfortable for everyone, which is quite different than my usual living rooms when I'm doing any house that is more upscale. Typically the living room might be a little more fancy, and this one is just very much more family friendly. And I'm getting the opportunity to use those new bookcases again. As I told you before, I'm obsessed with them, and so they're going to be everywhere in every room, probably for the next week or so until I finally get over the excitement. I don't know if I'm gonna get over the excitement though, they're so cute. But they really look nice, I think, in the TV area because the spacing for the shelf is perfect for the gaming console and stuff. So big fan, huge fan of these new bookcases. And then over here on the side, I've made sort of like a little bit of a recreation area. You've got a bar and a jukebox, and I ended up later on putting like a gaming table and some other things. So maybe like if you think about a rec room or like a rumpus room, like back in, I don't know when that was, like the 60s or something, the basement was always like, you know, where the family would do all their, you know, games and fun times, I guess. So I was kind of inspired by that idea. I imagined that this would be the official hangout for not just the kids and the parents, but even when they have guests over or parties, you know, kids are having friends over after school. This is where they would hang out to have fun. Okay, so now you're seeing the changes. Earlier in the video, I was telling you how I got rid of some of the cats and dogs stuff because I was feeling like it was maybe a little bit too much. And so I changed the floors to this sort of pale, is that oak? I'm not really sure. I have to look at it more closely. Maybe it's pine. That might be pine. But it's a very pale wood floor. And then I went with the steamy slats, I think, are what the walls are called, because it has more of like a beachy sort of vibe to me and a little less old-fashioned like the cats and dogs wainscoting one. So I went with blue on this floor and white for the lower level. And I really think it turned out kind of cute. And even though I did leave a few cats and dogs items, I think it blends pretty well. And, you know, for the most part, it still matches. I was kind of struggling with lighting this room a little bit just because it is a basement, so you've only got windows on one side, which kind of makes the whole other side of that level very dark. So I played around with a few different lighting options and also changed the stairs and changed the walls a few times. Luckily, I had plenty of room to work with, and it sort of evolved as I was adding more and more things. I did like that ladder style stairing, but for what I was trying to do in this corner, I don't know. I just had this idea that if you had the bar and the jukebox down there, that you would need some sort of gaming, entertainment-y thing. So I did the Don't Wake the Llama, since that's really our only like board game type option. I think it would be cool to have other types of board games though. Maybe just traditional, you know, Monopoly, Clue type of game. I mean, obviously we couldn't have those name brands, but you know, those types of family games I think would be cute. And so this lower patio area has the hot tub. I did have the bar out here, but I ended up moving it inside. But you could put the bar out here if you wanted to. And then I put some more lounge furniture for just sitting and relaxing. And I just copied the same ones that I had on the upper deck for the lower deck. And I'm still working on some lighting. I did those flip-flop lights, which I think are really cute. And then the neon signs with the daiquiri and stuff, very beachy. Even though the island in Windenburg is not really what you would call tropical, I tend to sort of treat it as such, just because it's really our only beachfront property that we have. I was really hoping Del Sol Valley was going to have beach property, especially when we were seeing those first images of like the map before the actual pack came out. It looked like we were going to get some beachfront lots, and I was so excited because I imagined, like, you know, in LA, how you can like drive up and down the coast and the homes are just like right on the shoreline. But unfortunately that didn't happen. So maybe in another pack we'll get some more beachfront property. This bathroom, I started out with this spa day, but it was way too modern, so I took it all out. Even though the colors were nice, it just didn't match with the rest of the house, which sometimes I have to keep myself in check with that, just because I'll sort of forget. I don't know if that makes sense, but as I'm building, I'm sort of in a zone. I'm just not really thinking, and sometimes I'll just think, oh, this would look pretty, and then after I put it, I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Why would they have this like sleek, ultra modern bathroom in this house? And so then I have a reality check and I go back to what I was doing. But I'm sure everyone probably suffers with that, because, you know, you get excited and you start building, and then sometimes you can forget exactly what type of theme you're trying to stick with. But luckily there was plenty of room down here for the master. I was worried a little bit about it being on the basement level, but then I remembered how there were these side windows, because I had almost kind of forgotten, because a lot of times with walkout basements you only have windows along one wall, but actually with this basement you do have windows on two walls, so that helped brighten the room up quite a bit. And you'll see me constantly going in to like change the lighting color. If you watched my last video, the rustic residence, I forgot to change the lights like 3 times. And so when I was watching the video after I had already like rendered it and everything, I saw all those yellow lights and I was like, oh, this looks terrible. What were you thinking? So this time I tried not to forget to change the lights, because I'm sure you guys don't want to watch a video where everything's bathed in yellow. And this room was kind of L-shaped, which was a bit odd, but I just decided to take this part of the L and make it the dresser and sort of like a little dressing area. I put some shoes and a little chair to sit on. So I imagine like in the morning, you would come out of the bathroom, right there's the shower, and then you would come right out to your little getting ready area, you know, where you would do like, you know, getting dressed and stuff. And it has a nice view of the ocean. These blinds that I'm using down here are from my First Pet stuff. If you don't have that pack, you could use pretty much any kind of blinds, I think, that are wide enough, like the ones I used upstairs in the kitchen. You could probably use those, or you could go with curtains. The only bad thing about those blinds is they do cover up quite a bit of the window, which when you have such a nice view, it's kind of a shame to cover it up. So lots of blue in here. I did decide to give the parents a TV. I don't know why. I kind of just, it's one of those things where I always forget that they can't lay in bed and watch TV, because that seems like what everyone in the world would probably do, but not in The Sims. Because even when you have a TV in the bedroom, your Sims will typically stand up and watch it. Unless you click on like a chair or the bed and kind of force them to sit down. Of course, they do that in the living room sometimes too, but usually in the bedroom especially. Oh yeah, here I realized that those mason jar lights didn't hang down far enough to work with that fan, which was a shame because I think that would have been cute, but the stem on the light was just it wasn't long enough. So I ended up switching it to those other cats and dogs lights. Okay, so now I'm finally upstairs on the 3rd level, and this was kind of tough because it's a kind of a weird shape, and I didn't really know for sure how many bedrooms and bathrooms I was going to be able to squeeze in here. I only had 2 for a while, and then I decided I really wanted to try to get 3, because it seems like typically when people are asking me to build things for them, because I do get quite a lot of requests on Instagram, they'll always say 4 bedrooms. That seems to be a favorite. And so I wanted to try to get 4 bedrooms out of this. So I think it worked. These bedrooms are pretty small, but they've got everything, the essentials, the dresser, the mirror, the bed, nothing, not a lot of space for extras, but the basics. This bedroom is blue and white, and I wanted to kind of keep it beachy, so I went with some beach-inspired artwork. And then I carried that blue and white theme into the bathroom as well. There is a toy box in this bedroom. I think it's the only toy box in the house. And then I'm working on some blinds here for the bathroom. And this bathroom has a shower, but it does not have a bathtub. But I did make sure that the other bathroom did have a bathtub, since there is a toddler in this family. There, I was just play testing that sink. With a toddler, you always want to make sure you have a bathtub, a high chair, and then I always make sure there's, the toddler tablet and toddler building blocks and stuff like that. Okay, so this second bedroom, I decided to go with light brown and beige and tan. I really associate this with the beach as well. That sort of natural wood with the slats, the steamy slats. I think that's very beach inspired. And I got to use the new table again, the new desk again, so yay, and the new pencil holder, and that book that's open, that's also new, and that little circuit robot head thing is new. I was having fun getting lots of use out of our freebies. There wasn't enough room in this bedroom for a full-size chest, so I just went with the small little cubicle style, which was fine. As long as they can change clothes, that's really all you need. The other child's room does not have a computer, so I kind of spread things out. So one child has the toy box, one child has the computer, not both. So they'll have to share if they want to be nice. And then the last bedroom is the toddler bedroom, which I went with a lot of pinks in here. There's a dollhouse and a few toys, but it's a very small room again. And like I said in the beginning of the video, the potty seat is actually on the first floor because I couldn't fit it in the bathrooms up here. They were too crowded. But anyway, we're coming towards the end of the video. I think this is the last room that I filmed. So thank you again for watching another speed build with me. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to stay up to date on the projects that I'm working on. I'm trying to do at least 1 or 2 houses per week. Some weeks might have more or less than others, but on average, maybe 1 or 2 a week, just depending on how much free time I have. Probably the easiest thing to do to know what's going on with me is to follow my Instagram, because I always post a work in progress picture over there, and that's a good indication of when my next video is coming. And Twitter as well. Both of those accounts are also ErikaBuilds, as well as the gallery where I'm ErikaBuilds. Basically, I'm ErikaBuilds everywhere, and that's with a K, E-R-I-K-A, builds. So Twitter, Instagram, the gallery, YouTube are all spelled exactly the same, and there's no space between Erika and Builds. It's all always written together as one word. And that's the best way to keep up to date with what might be coming next. And also, if you want to make requests, you can always send me a DM on Instagram, or pictures of homes or ideas that you have, and I'm always happy to look at those and let you know if I think it's something that I know how to build. Okay, so that's all for now, and have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!